Good morning, everyone. My name is Jaime Martinez, and I am the Senior Project Manager of the UTSA Small Business Development Center's COVID Business Recovery Accelerator. I want to welcome the audience. Thank you all for taking time out of your busy day to join us. I have been very much looking forward to this town hall. We have great panelists, but also a very, very important topic to the business community and on what is out there, what is still available, and what for the for funding and other health support and resources that you all have, bringing relief and recovery to the small business community. Today again, welcome the entire audience, but also welcome our panelists. We have Senator Pete Flores, Mr. Jose Palafox, and our own Nestor Astorga participating in our town hall today as far as panelists. So, here's our contact information. We have a lot of information to discuss. I have quite a few questions that I'm going to ask of our panelists today. We will do our best to answer all of your questions. I do have one of my colleagues standing by manning the chat box. So as you all have questions, please feel free to add them in the chat box, and towards the end of the hour, we will make sure that they get answered by our panelists. We don't get to you, not a problem. Please contact us. We will make sure that we do follow up ourselves, or we will place you in contact with our panelists today and their offices to make sure to get your questions answered and the resources and support that you need today. So now, without further ado, I want to really, for those audience members who are not familiar with our program with the SBDC COVID Business Recovery Accelerator, let me kind of get into a couple of things as far as who we are and exactly what we do. So a couple quick things. I already mentioned the chat, and our next COVID Business Town Hall is on November the 3rd, where our topic will be around cybersecurity and how it affects your businesses. You can start registering there at the link below. So, what do we do? What do we specifically do? What is our focus in the COVID Business Recovery Accelerator? So we are here to help small businesses that have been affected by COVID-19 during this particular pandemic on finding you the relief, helping you reboot the operations of your business, and recover from this currently and become resilient now and after, this pandemic is over. We are in it for the long haul here currently. So what are all the different services, and how can you see the information, the support and resources we're providing you as far as at the COVID Business Recovery Accelerator? Visit us at txsbdc.org/business recovery, and to get information on, and I'll show you here the next slide, on funding, on workplace resources that you need, how to bring in your employees safely back into the workplace, how to keep your clientele safe. We have all that here on our website. Now, we're not just in, although I'm speaking to you from San Antonio, Texas. We're just not here. Our Southwest Texas border SBDC network, we do cover 79 counties out of 10 offices here in South Texas. You may be dialing in from various parts of the state, but this is where we are. Feel free to give us a call. We can place you in touch with your local SBDC, where we have over 20-something offices throughout the state and over 1,000 throughout the United States as well. Our main focus is anything COVID related in your business. So, giving you advice on the Paycheck Protection Program, which is still currently available, the Economic Injury Disaster Loan from the SBA, all of the other, and some of the other SBA and non-SBA loan programs to help you get that funding that you need. Employer resources, as I was mentioning to you. Again, how to bring employees back into the workplace safety, how to rehire. Those types of information we can help you out. Those tax credits that are available to you, to the Texas Workforce Commission, we can provide you that type of information and have advisors who specialize in that. Cybersecurity, many of you have staff that is still working remotely. All right, there is unfortunately a lot of issues going on when it comes to when it comes to phishing and other types of issues that could come up, and providing you your cybersecurity needs. And again, workplace safety, taking care of your employees safely during this particular pandemic. So now, without further ado, I went through that really fast because I do want to get into our event today. So I'd like to first, introduce Senator Pete Flores. Senator Flores represents District 19 in the state of for the Texas Senate, an area larger than the state of Maine, stretching from San Antonio to the Pecos. He was raised in South Texas and has served 27 years as a Texas game warden, achieving the top rank of colonel and overseeing the entire law enforcement division of 500 plus wardens, becoming the first Hispanic colonel warden in history. Now, retired from that and now serving as a Texas state senator, splits his time between the legislature and traveling across his massive district 19. He has 2 grandsons and his wife and a house in Pleasanton, Texas. So welcome, Senator Flores. Here's his contact information. We will be having his contact information still available throughout that. Next, I would like to introduce Jose Palafox. Jose works for IBC Bank. He holds a BBA in finance for the University of Texas at San Antonio. He was a business advisor at SBDC Sol Ross Rio Grande College from 2002 to 2006. I barely missed you because I started in 2007, Jose, being a previous, coming from banking myself. He has been with IBC Bank since 2006. We have served as a commercial lender, actually vice president for Del Rio and Eagle Pass Market. Palafox has served as a board member of Del Rio Chamber of Commerce from 2013 to 2018. He has also been a member of the Del Rio Rotary Club and volunteered as a Little League softball coach in Eagle Pass. So we welcome you, and again, thank you for participating, and thank you for all that IBC has done for the small business community, particularly for our region. Thank you so much, Jose. And last but certainly not least, my colleague, friend, Mr. Nestor Astorga. He is a senior business advisor with us and the UTSA COVID Business Recovery Accelerator, with experience as an advisor for the Minority Business Development Agency as well, and as a veteran business development specialist, assisting veteran business owners with access to capital. Nestor specializes in finance and real estate and has over 33 years of experience in accounting and auditing. He is a certified legal mediator, helping individuals resolving disputes effectively and efficiently, I want to add. And Nestor is one of our foremost authorities on the ins and outs of the Paycheck Protection, more like a subject matter expert on the Paycheck Protection Program and the other SBA disaster loans. So we're happy to have him here today. So gentlemen, I want to welcome all of you. Thank you for joining us today. So before we get started and get into it, I want to give an opportunity for all the 3 panelists to talk to us about their offices, their companies and their programs. But I do want to say that none of us we're giving you our professional advice, experience advice, but we are not attorneys. We are not licensed by the state of Texas as certified public accountants. So we always recommend 100% of the time that you do reach out to your legal advisor, your tax advisor in regards to anything we're going to be discussing with here today. So we just wanted to throw that out there. So, Senator Flores, please talk to us about, yourself, your district, your office, and what you all do, part of the Texas State Legislature.
Well, we're very privileged, and thank you all very much for allowing us the opportunity to visit with everyone. Good morning. Good morning from our office here at the Capitol. We have a number of offices throughout the district, including one in Jourdanton, San Antonio, Del Rio, and Fort Stockton, and they provide constituent services, which is probably one of the most important things to have efficiently operated, especially during times like these where we were affected by this COVID pandemic. Our office, we serve 17 counties, 830,000 people is for each of the senators represent. And ours is a very wide and diverse, reaching from south of San Antonio all the way to the New Mexico border, with 360 miles of the Texas-Mexico border and 2 ports of entry. So it's very diverse. The two major oil field plays are in District 19, the Eagle Ford and the Permian Basin. And so very important to our economy and all the businesses associated with that. So constituent services is very important. So as we go into as this pandemic started, keeping our constituents and our local leaders, officials informed and in the loop and supplied with information is something that's very critical for your state Senate or House member to do. And it's something that we were able to do very effectively and efficiently throughout the district, that as things developed, that our constituents were able to come through our office when they needed it, to be able to get quick answers to evolving problems as they developed. And so basically we were here as a resource, and we're here to serve. And again, constituent services is probably one of the most important functions in our state government offices, as it is in the businesses. I guess that would be called customer service in business, constituent service in government, but it's all the same thing. We're here to serve and to be a source of information and action when required.
Correct, correct. Thank you, Senator, for mentioning that. Our last town hall, we had a representative, Barbara Gervin Hawkins, and she laughed in the first time I said it, and she just had this ear-to-ear smile when I kept mentioning, did you all know that you can actually reach out to your elected official in your district, your constituency, and reach out to elected officials? They can help you. They can provide many resources to assist you in weather this particular storm. So reach out to them. And that's why we have, and we will continue to have, your office's contact information to be able to do so. So thank you, Senator, for mentioning all that. Mr. Jose, so talk to us about IBC.
Well, thank you first and foremost for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. Good morning to all attending, and Senator Pete Flores and Mr. Astorga. Yes, IBC is a bank that was established in 1966. It is located, our headquarters are located in Laredo, Texas, and we have over 200 branches between Oklahoma and Texas, and we serve over 88 communities in that region. So very, very proud to be with this company that serves these two states.
Okay, there. No, thanks, Jose. I appreciate that. And my colleague at the Sol Ross Small Business Development Center recommended you highly, and we to come because of the great assistance that you all provided the business community when this program came up called the PPP. They were calling it the PPE. We're like, no, there's a huge difference in there, and so you all did a fantastic job when it came to providing information and providing the funding when it came to that. So thank you, and I'm sure those in your area thank you as well. So thanks, Jose. Mr. Nestor, my friend, I did briefly talk about who we are, what we do, but please fill in the blanks about the accelerator.
Well, yes. First, thank you very much for this invitation. Thank you, Senator Flores, and thank you, Jose, to be with us today. So the first thing that we're gonna talk is about our office. How did our organization responded, which basically was by creating the COVID Business Recovery Accelerator in April of this year. They formed a complete team of professional and experienced business advisors and supporting team to assist business owners, especially at this time with financial relief, reboot, recovery, resilience, in topics that we already discussed: funding, employee resources, cybersecurity, safety, educational resources. And how are we providing? We're providing businesses our services through a one-on-one advising, business training, business events, and sharing relevant business information to our clients and people that call. We have adapted basically by establishing a calling center for prompt attention, which basically transfers the calls to the right specialist, because as Jaime said, you know, I am specialized in I'm an accountant by trade, so my strengths are in finances, are in several business topics, but we have colleagues also that they have specialized in human resources, for example, or in government contracting, in import export. We have all sorts of specialists within the Institute of Economic Development, which brings a lot of resources to the table, especially because every client is a case-by-case situation, and sometimes they throw at us questions that we don't know how to answer, honestly. But we will reach out to the resources that we have, and the great thing about you know, our organization at these times is that basically we could adapt to work you know, in our houses. We are not at the office, unfortunately. We would love to work, you know, you know, in person, but with these COVID times, we could make the change so every one of our colleagues is working from home. And we received a lot of tools, internet tools, that honestly we have been passing through a lot of learning curves, like Microsoft Teams. We have a new tool called Calendly, which is, I think, is one of the best things that's ever happened, because you send the link and basically the client can see our calendar and check our availability. Everything can be done now online. And I had the experience to work prior to COVID, and I can tell you that now our services are even much faster than before. The fact that we're doing this digitally, that we can do, you know, our meetings over the phone, over Zoom conferences, through the email, it gives us, the counselors, a lot of resources that we, back at the day, it was different. Now everything, it can be faster. And
Sure.
and anyway, I mean, we have I guess we have responded and adapted pretty well, and our clients can receive a lot of good service fast, and especially because now the business owners need a fast response, because you know,
Correct.
time and the need is up there.
Correct. No, thank you, Nestor. You know, thank you for talking about us a little bit about yourself, and thank you in more detail than I provided on the accelerator. So, you know, gentlemen, we have, you know, beginning in April, we were, you know, the business community was very fortunate to be able to receive, you know, disaster assistance, you know, a stimulus package to provide them, you know, access to capital for the Paycheck Protection Program, to be able to keep those employees, you know, on payroll, and then to be able to eventually, and where we are right now, we're in loan forgiveness mode. This is kind of the season for that. And you know, the economic injury disaster loan, and at that particular time when the EIDL, you know, also known as, you know, was out, they had the advance grant, you know, that was there, all to be able to help these, you know, these businesses all throughout the United States. And again, we're talking about Texas right now, you know, to be able to continue to operate, keep people employed, have that wage, you know, help their families, their livelihoods, all that great stuff. And you know, when we promote things through our program and we talk about relief, you know, the debt relief that's out there, helping them recover with the funding, And then the next step would probably be like rebooting their business. Well, I'm sorry, resilient, being, staying resilient in their businesses, maybe adding additional revenue streams, and being more innovative. For example, if they're early on, a lot more businesses were being curbside, but in every industry now. And then rebooting, and we're hopefully, we're beyond this, this pandemic of COVID, but we're kind of stuck in the relief and recovery, phases of getting everybody to, to continue on. I know our governor's opening up, these businesses, restaurants and bars and other types of businesses, but we still need more relief and recovery. And so I guess along with that, I'd like to be able to discuss a little bit, and Senator Flores, we'll start with you. I mean, when we started out, again in March and April, it was all hands on deck, and we had to always just kind of focus on resources to our clients and support for during this time. So can you please describe and talk to us about how your office, responded early on to providing assistance to these COVID affected businesses in your district?
Well, thank you. First of all, we were dealing with dealing with a flu pandemic is nothing new, but how we dealt with it was new. I mean, we went through H1N1 and all those other events in our lifetimes, but in this particular case, I think what was most important was to arrive at some point of clarity, because everything was pretty much helter-skelter, and so we were able to. One of the main roles that we were provided, again through strong constituent services, was be able to be that conduit for information, to provide as much clarity we could as in the times of chaos, of times that where we didn't know what was going to happen. Unemployment insurance was something that our system was overwhelmed. So we along with members of the House of Representatives, we're able to kind of like second our own staff to be able to assist in our districts for unemployment insurance claims, and of course be able to do what we can to facilitate in getting more people on board to process unemployment insurance, which is really important. Then there was the coordination of PPEs and other safety devices, which at times that we were the supply chain was overwhelmed, and nationally, and so to be able to do what we can to facilitate the acquisition and then distribution of PPEs especially to our hospitals and then to our citizens and businesses was something very important. The Department of Emergency, Nim Kidd and his bunch, emergency management, I mean, the best in the world. And we have to applaud them for everything that they've done. I mean, on top of hurricanes and floods and everything else going on, all we needed was, the plague of locusts. But we hopefully we won't get that anytime soon. But we'll deal with it if it happens. But so the State Department state assistance by state agencies to our businesses, the comptroller doing his part. There's the governor's office in economic development, Open Texas and other programs. Of course, the Workforce Commission, making sure that they're operating on all cylinders and that we're providing the information and getting our citizens and our businesses served was something that was at the highest priority for us. I applaud my staff and others for their selfless dedication to our people, and because that's what we're here for. And of course, at the same time, we always want to be able to learn and be prepared to handle this better, because there will be happening again. We're just going to be better prepared. And as long as we learn from it, which I believe we have, we're going to continue to respond to these types of events, whether they're natural or a pandemic type, more effectively in the future. So those things in a whole, is the coordination of the resources that we have available through our office, which is why we're here for. That's what we're here for. I think we're moving probably at a better pace than most states in the union, and probably most nations in the world. And so always got to remember to put those things in perspective. So that we're moving quite ahead. We're very we want our economy to open as soon as possible, but still to do it in a manner that we are moving forward and not moving backwards in doing so. But I believe we're going to be moving forward, and I see things getting better. When the smoke clears, we'll be standing stronger than ever.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Senator, for your mentions on that. And yeah, floods, we've dealt with it quite often, and maybe a fire here and there, but again, things that we've never really dealt with. Everybody had to kind of suck it up and figure it out, and pull the great resources we have in our state together to be able to provide them to the business community. So yeah, thank you. Great points.
So if I may make one more point, Mr. Martinez.
Yes, sir.
I heard a saying the other day that said in a sermon I was listening to that pretty much said that we were approached with unprecedented times, but we are not really in unprecedented times. These things have happened in the course of human history over and over again, but we're not really in unprecedented times. We're more like in perilous times, and it's during perilous times that we got to remember who we are, where we come from, what we stand for, and know that we've gone through these things before, and we'll go through this again because of that's who we Texans are. So that's just something I wanted to mention.
Well said. I like it. Well said. Thank you. Jose, same to you. I mean, same question to you. I mean, can you please describe how IBC, in the very beginning times, I mean, how did you all, I mean, these are obviously, stories and things that, the general public probably isn't familiar with, but, how did your bank, adapt and respond to COVID? What did you all do early on?
Yes, well, here at IBC, certainly we feel and know that we are an essential business, and we certainly want to be there for our customers in every way possible. And initially, some of the first things we did was to take preventive measures, for our customers to feel comfortable, as well as our staff. So here at the bank, we took some preventive measures in our bank facilities, having sanitizing stations and floor markers, and requiring staff to wear masks and what have you. But also, as customers came in with their needs, as we all know, local, state, and federal mandates required for some businesses to close temporarily. So that had an effect on their business, and immediate effect on their earnings and cash flow as well. So we had customers approach us, particularly borrowers who would come to us and tell us, what, these mandates are impeding me from earning, from generating income, and therefore, I see it difficult for us to continue our loan terms the way they are. So we certainly took it case by case, and looked at the requests from our customers who would provide their business plan. Most of them had already reflected how they've been tightening their belt and reducing costs and expenses in order to mitigate those losses and be able to continue to operate for those who are operating. And certainly the PPP program that you mentioned was also very instrumental for our borrowers. We immediately jumped on this program and began to proactively advise our customers that this program was available to them. At our bank, we were able, just locally here in our Tri-County region, which is Eagle Pass, Del Rio, Uvalde, we were able to assist almost 250 businesses, which translate into, which were close to $18 million, and translates into 3,700 jobs retained just in our region alone. Corporate wide, we were able to do in the vicinity of 5,000 loans, which translates into 76,000 jobs, and in hundreds of millions of dollars. Those are 80% of these were the small businesses, the micro businesses. So very, very instrumental that this program was provided by our government for our small businesses, and certainly was a lifeline that was given out to the small businesses to survive.
I like that. You're always going to speak like an SBDC advisor, Jose. You know, as a result of of these millions that you're provided, there's thousands of jobs. And again, I'm for the district and the senator. You all are in Senator Flores' district. That's great to hear. That all those jobs were a result of the great work you all did at IBC. So thank you for those mentions, Jose, and the great impact. Nestor, talk to us about the early days and the accelerator, and how did we have to adapt during that particular time?
Well, those first months were completely different from what I was accustomed to experience back at the day when I was doing other counseling for UTSA at the veteran program or MBDA. This was a complete different story. First, because the SBA PPP and the EIDL, which stands for Paycheck Protection Program and Economic Injury Disaster Loan, these were completely new vehicles to help the business owners. The EIDLs existed before for other type of disasters, but the PPP was a brand new, I would call it, product. And also on one side of our services, we were facing not just the release of the regulations, but all the modifications that came afterwards, because up to this day, this PPP was born at the end of March, but the first regulation was published April the 2nd. And then up to today, we have about 28 modifications and additions. And each one, it's very long and very detailed, that we need to really go in depth to study, analyze, and try to understand, so we can translate that information to our clients. So, and also on the other hand, all the business owners were very nervous, because many of them, their doors were closed either by regulations or all the clients simply went away to their houses, so they were not selling, and they were very, very nervous. So we at the COVID Business Recovery Accelerator, I thought, my sons are in the medical field, and sometimes I would share with them some ideas that I felt like if I was a doctor in an emergency room, and catching up all the unfortunately the business owners that were affected by the situation. The good thing is that all my colleagues are very experienced in different fields. So sometimes a caller would request information about PPE. So okay, so this would go to one of my colleagues. Others would be having issues with their government certifications or contracts. I would transfer that client to my other colleague, and things like that, or and catching up also with lenders about the PPPs. And we were catching, serving, talking, and sometimes even unfortunately, we had cases where you would receive phone calls, people crying, to that level of stress, that we had to listen and try to see how we could help And the good things is that there are many tools out there that are available for business owners. And I mean, it is not the end of the world. Even if people say, you know, like they say, the sky is falling, the sky is falling. No, it's not falling. I mean, we have a roof. And that's our job at UTSA to let the business owners what it's out there, and that's our challenge.
Right,
So
right.
those were the beginning times of our service.
So Nestor, you know, and we'll stick with you on this next point question. That, you know, so what were some of the, you know, you touched a little bit on a couple of them, obviously, but what were some of the most immediate needs that we had to respond to, you know, during the early days of COVID? You touched base on it, but talk to us a little more in detail about those immediate needs.
Yes, well, the very first ones were the PPP and the idle. Those were like butter and bread every day, our everyday topic. And the question is, how can I apply to that? What is that about? You know, the very basic questions. And then me and my colleague, we would help them, you know, understand what was everything about. You know, like the PPP, basically this was processed through the authorized lenders as a loan first in the first phase, I would say it. And then if everything met the regulations, it could convert into something like a grant, where everything might be forgiven if the conditions are there, if the client complies with the regulations. So we would advise them in every level, you know, how to use how to define, describe, and use let's say the PPP. And there was a lot of confusion between the PPP and the idle. And for example, the idle is a loan that's not forgivable, but many people in the business community are afraid of getting loans. And I understand that part, you know, but the idle was designed to help businesses in need, similar to if we were affected by a hurricane, a tornado. The only thing is that COVID is invisible. We don't see the effects, but the good thing is that the idle, you know, is a product, a loan at a 3.75% annual rate to a term of 30 years, that you can basically use it in a more long-term paid payment period. Also, the other thing that people don't know is that the fact that you request an idle right now, the amount that you were approved or hopefully approved, you can request an increase on that idle. So people can apply or reapply to more money if they need, and put it into a long-term projection. That's what we are advising right now, because I mean, COVID is not going next month. So this is something that is going to be here for a little bit. And even our expectations are not that even if vaccines come out next year, the getting back to the 2019 economic levels is not going to come next month.
Right. That's true.
So we are here to provide all those elements: PPP, idles, grants, crowdfunding, other sorts of funding. There's an assortment of lending products out there that we are aware. Factoring, I mean,
The other funding vehicles that are available, right?
many. Yep, many.
Good points. Yeah, no, and that's great. I mean, you know, you provided some tips there, you know, Nestor, as far as on, you know, you can get an increase, you can reapply, you know, those are things that, yes, they promote it, but they're not really widely known or is known as well, so they can follow up with us on that. No, good points, Mr. So Senator Flores, I mean, yes, you and your staff are not Small Business Development Center advisors. I mean, so what, again, in the early days of COVID, what types of support, were being requested of your office, during the early days?
Well, the early days, again, primarily was unemployment, and from the Workforce Commission. That was huge, and still is. That's still something that that we're dealing with. Of course, it's being done more efficiently now, and that it's not as overwhelmed as it was initially. But certainly when you're looking at all the people that were suddenly without, as Mr. Astorga said, without income, and businesses closed down or weren't deemed essential, like Mr. Palafox had mentioned the bank was. Of course, in my mind, all businesses are essential. But it's that overwhelmingly is, like my neighbors on either side of me, I mean, all of a sudden they were without employment in the oil field and services, support services and things of that nature. So it was incumbent upon us to be able to work as efficiently and as quickly as possible to ensure that that the Workforce Commission was operating optimally. Although at the time it was totally overwhelmed, but like I said, you learned a lot from it, and they're back there, online. So coordinating with the governor's office and with TDEM again to make sure that supplies are being distributed to the district. The food chain, we're talking about our food banks out there. It's still something that's ongoing, and we're still very blessed that we have that. But it also all of our the small businesses, you depend on clientele, and the clientele depends on being employed, but it also means they need to be kept healthy and fed and sustained. So we looked at looking at supply chain for food and the supply chain in general to be able to sustain us through this. I will say that we, again, I'm an optimist. I'm an eternal optimist, and if our economy wasn't so strong going into this, we would be in a depression right now instead of a slight recession. But so I believe that. So we have to continue to keep ourselves strong and support each other, and these offices, especially your state offices, are here to provide resource for you, and if there's any log jams, or if any of the businesses have some issues with agencies or need to they're hung up on certain points. Well, that's why we're here to do as well, to facilitate and solve problems, not make problems.
Thank you, Senator Flores. Yes, again, as I mentioned earlier, and I've done in the past with our other panelists that have been elected officials, you all are welcome to reach out to Senator Flores' office for resources and support. I mean, that's what they're there to serve you. Yes, sir. No, correct. So, Jose, over to you. What were some of the most immediate needs, at the time in the early days of COVID? What type of support did you all have to provide early on? I mean, you touched on a few things, but, talk to us a little more in detail on that.
Absolutely. Well, as Mr. Astorga mentioned, the virus is invisible, but because of the mandates, the effects of some of these businesses being limited in their activity, that effect was not invisible. That was very visible, and certainly, as I mentioned before, and as Senator Flores mentioned, all businesses are essential, and that's the way we feel as well. And for that same reason, in order to provide and assist our customers with their needs, we remained open. We never closed, which was one key factor for our customers, that we were able to still provide all their banking needs, and they had somebody that they could go to if they needed to go to the bank or make a deposit or request other types of services. So that was one of our one of the things that we felt was needed, and that's the reason we remained open throughout. We have not closed throughout all this time. But we also certainly, at the beginning when the program began, the much needed capital, and through the PPP, we were able to provide those loans in order for these businesses to retain their staff. You know, as Senator Flores mentioned, you know, we've been able to survive this pandemic for various reasons, and not hit a hard recession. One of them is that, you know, the PPP program, and providing these businesses with the funding to be able to sustain or retain their staff, as well as provide partial funds of those loans to go to their leases and paying bills. You know, that helped many businesses survive, and we were, you know, as I mentioned, we're able to provide, you know, almost 250 businesses just in our region, and thousands in corporate wide. So that was certainly the what we felt and what we saw in the beginnings of this pandemic come to us from our customers. Now, beyond that, because of the limitation in some of the mandates, and certainly the recommendations from the health officials, we've also reinforced our efforts to inform our borrowers and our commercial customers of some of the features or services that we have that would limit them from leaving their office or assist them in continuing their banking activities without leaving their office. We have, for example, Deposit Express, which for those businesses that receive a substantial amount of checks and want to deposit them in the comfort of their office, we provide them with a scanner where we put that system. It's from our Treasury Management Department. We also have IBC Link, which provides other services, which also provide them the availability, for example, to request and submit the request for a wire transfer without having to leave their office. So that and other products and services that are provided by our bank, kind of like an online banking for businesses, is something that we've been very proactive, more proactive now, given the circumstances and the recommendations for social distancing and what have you.
So, you know, Jose, and you know, on these points, these last couple of points that you were talking about, the services IBC, you know, and me speaking to other financial institutions, regardless of credit union, you know, regional banks, large banks, you know, they saw considerable growths, leaps and bounds on these services that, you know, they had decent amount of clientele accessing these services, but of course now because of COVID, they had, you know, they grew by leaps and bounds with easier ways to make deposits, easier ways to contact your financial institutions. So, you know, with that, and I'll continue with you, I mean, what, you know, let's fast forwarding now, I mean, what types of assistance are your business clientele, you know, continuing to request of your bank, and how do you all plan to move forward with some of those requests or plan for the future?
Well, in continuation to what I mentioned, as you were asking, yes, these, and you're right about what other bank institutions have shared with you. We've also seen an increase in and more acceptance to these programs and these products and services. While before, you know, we still live in a small community here in Eagle Pass, Del Rio, Uvalde, so a lot of people still like the personal touch, so they would come to the bank, right? But now with the social distancing and as Senator Flores and Mr. Astorga mentioned, you know, this thing is not going away anytime soon, it appears. So a lot of them are on board on obtaining these products and services that would certainly provide them the ability to keep banking from the comfort of their office. And that's certainly something that we've seen an increase, as you mentioned as well. We're no exception to that. we've also seen an increase in small businesses obtaining these products. But beyond that, we also see and not as a big portion as those businesses that requested PPP loans, but we also have still borrowers that might, even though received a PPP loan or a certain modification to their loan terms, they, their business is still not back up to par, and they may still come and request for modification of their loan or extension of those that were made. So that, and certainly now that the PPP forgiveness period has begun, we've also begun to accept those applications. Given the new application for those loans that are $50,000 or less, we certainly reached out to those borrowers to advise them of the change that is now more less documentation, a simpler form, and
right.
70% of our loans fall within that threshold. So
yeah, they fit in that average to be able to go with the more streamlined application for under 50,000. Okay,
that is correct.
Okay, good to know. So same thing, for you, Nestor. Also, what types of assistance are these COVID-affected businesses reaching out to us now? And how are we going to plan on helping them in the future?
Well, right now, the focus of the business owner is in access to capital, the PPP, the EIDL, and all that connects to that, such as, for example, right now we are beginning to see the forgiveness application. And by the way, a new 3508S came out last week.
We're going to be there for our customers.
And so the things that connect to the PPP,
yes, we can.
That is going to be another one, the EIDL. But also we are trying to go beyond that to areas where clients they don't know what they don't know, such as help them explore new business projects. I have seen some clients that they were selling certain type of product that right now it's not moving correctly, so they are beginning to see into different directions. So we have ways of helping them explore new business projects, new products. Also, the other thing that is very important, I think, is to explore ways of generating more profit. When you're a business owner, you're changing hats all the time. You are on sales sometimes, and then you're on marketing, and then you are on procurement, and then you are in manufacturing, and then go back to cleaning the floor and things like that. So me as an accountant / auditor, I can help them, look into certain areas of the business to generate more profit. Sometimes they don't have a well-established accounts receivable policy, for example. That's just an out-of-the-box idea. Or, for example, because I have been also a business owner, I have had a couple of businesses, and I'm familiarized with e-commerce and websites and everything. I can help them to learn how to do a website. Simple things like that right now are crucial because businesses are moving to the digital world because they cannot be in the retail space. And I can help them also with accounting, auditing, financial topics, bootstrapping techniques. Basically, this is where we can, in my particular case, I can help the clients.
Good. Senator Flores, I wanted to end this last point with you, that I've already asked to Jose and Nestor. I mean, so what are your constituents, contacting you with right now? I mean, you ended with, they're calling you with their, unemployment needs and things like that. But what else are they contacting your office with for further support and assistance?
Well, I'll touch on 2 points briefly. And well, one is, talking about what, again, with the resources available, the Governor's Small Business Assistant Advisory Task Force. A lot of time governments have these task forces and they come up with recommendations, do a lot of work with input from the business community. And then then it's to get them implemented. So those are the things, is to listen to what the advisor, that the input coming in from the business community to the governor's advisory boards and others, and then take it and implement it, like what was done in House Bill 3 in education, where actually implemented finally input from the people. There's also working with a comptroller, for small businesses assistance, dealing with tax filing relief and postponements. But the last point I'll bring in that's brought up a lot by small businesses is wanting to open up, but then having to worry about the COVID liability. People wanting to sue them, or some individuals, firms wanting to use that as another angle to hit you on your liability. And I am very receptive to filing legislation, like a number of the federal colleagues in Congress, to provide for some relief for COVID liability for our businesses. And I encourage any of all of our businesses to contact us with your ideas on how you think that should work. And so I'm very receptive to filing that legislation in the next session.
Good deal. Thank you, Senator Flores. Yes, those were great points. I'm happy you brought those up. So, we've had quite a few. This wasn't just a trip into the unfortunate memory lane. No, it was about, our program wants the business community, to learn about all the resources and support that you can get at the state level, which includes us being funded under the CARES Act, and also through the state of Texas funding, and also where a private institution like IBC Bank, that's a support and resource they can provide you. So we have some questions coming in. We probably have time for just a couple of quick questions. Deidre, talk to us about what we have up right now.
Good morning. This has been a great conversation. Thank you, everyone. Jose, I'm Deidre Patillo. You may remember me. We used to work together over there at, when we'd have some events from the regional office. So nice to see you again. And we have a question about your ability to respond to non-existing clients. Did you find folks who didn't already have business accounts with IBC requesting assistance for the PPP?
Yes, great question. The fact is that, yes, we did see a numerous amount of applicants that were not IBC banks prior to coming with their PPP loan request, and we were able to assist them as well. Yes, that was something that we saw a significant amount of applications come from non-customers. Absolutely, and we were able to assist them. Absolutely.
Well, that's great to know, and we would just like to highlight how our community banks, really stepped up to help small business owners. We all heard that, and Liz Pena shared that with us, and so we do appreciate that. We also have an interesting question, and I think I'm going to pose it a little bit more generically. I think Nestor probably will have an answer for this, but if anyone else knows anything about businesses that are established as Texas LLCs, but the business owners may live elsewhere. How would those individuals look for financial assistance?
Well, it's different, it's a case-by-case situation that we need to check, in a one-on-one advising session, because it can be, several things coming to my mind that I don't want to say anything that will connect. So I prefer to leave that question for a one-on-one session.
Well, I almost feel like that was a trick question then, Nestor, because I always like to stress, we are not here just to send you off into the wilds of the interwebs for answers. We're not here just to say, here, you listen to us, that's all there is to it. We want you to come back and ask us questions. We really appreciate you spending time with us now, but all of these great presenters want to hear your questions. They want to direct you to the right resources, and that's certainly what we want to do here with the COVID Business Recovery Accelerator.
Thanks, Deidre. No, you said it great. And, you know, we had some great discussion, gentlemen, Senator Flores, Jose, you know, Nestor, thank you all again for participating. It was a huge honor to have all three of you here with us today. So we hope we provided some great resources and information to the business community. Here's our contact information. For whatever reason you did not get the Senator or Jose's contact information, please give us a call. We have operators standing by. They can take your information and give you the information that you need to direct you to their offices directly. We'll have somebody get back with you at their earliest convenience. So again, thank you to everybody for joining us. We will see you all November the 3rd for our topic on cybersecurity. So thank you. Have a great week.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.